Well, within policing, the job itself brings a lot of stress. PTSD, alcoholism, you'll get some drug usage. A lot of divorce rate is high. There's a lot of stress. A lot of it, you know, deals from officers that they may not have a mechanism in place to deal with it. And then you have a public that doesn't always understand. There's an unrealistic expectation of us to perform because people watch CSI or they watched Cops and everything was wrapped up in 15 minutes and the guy was caught or they think we work a bad accident or where a child was raped or somebody was murdered. And then we go to our sergeant and we say, oh, well, Sergeant, that was traumatic. And he says, oh, just take the rest of the week off. Don't worry about it. That's not realistic. You finish one call, you head to the next call. And just imagine years and years and years. Most people go watch a horror movie and they come out and they'll say, well, I couldn't sleep that night. Well, sometimes you come out and you go to this horror movie 2 or 3 times a week in different calls and different things. And then you're trying to manage, your own life. And then you have the added pressures today that come on from the job. Some officers that are involved in shootings or have been in things like that, they're always going to second guess themselves. Could I have done it better? Then you add in the media, and then you add in where people will just look at a video online, and now they're adding more pressure to that officer, and then they're labeled as a racist or this officer is this, and that doesn't have anything to do with it, but he's carrying all this load. So do police departments have psychiatrists there? Don't have one that, well, we'll make an appointment with Dr. So-and-so and in 4 days from now you can drive 250 miles to Houston or wherever to see him. Really? That's the most immediate attention that you can get? How open are administrations to have active dialogue? I alluded earlier to a situation, with me. When I put out a video, a lot of people were shocked about it. I didn't think he thought this way, or I didn't think. Have you ever talked to me? You ever meet me? You see me at roll call, or you see me in uniform, or you see me at night when we're just talking about, football game or some nonsensical thing to pass the time. But what do you really know about me? And you work with me. What do you know about me? What do I know about you? And then what do I don't know about you? So if we don't have that dialogue one-on-one, and then we say, well, we're brothers in the badge and we're out there to protect each other, and I would give my life for this guy and I would give my life, that's great, but you won't give 5 minutes to learn who is that guy? What does he really believe? What's important to him? And it's not to say that they wouldn't risk their life or they wouldn't protect, but when you come to the funeral, do you really know him? If something happened to me, I'm sure you'd have people who don't even know where this town is on the map until they're coming to the funeral. But, it's nice that you came, but do you know him? So when you get there, you're going to take up space. Where the people in the community who do know me, are they going to have to stand out in the parking lot in the rain so that we can make a superficial display of people in the uniform that come? I'm not saying it's not nice. I'm not saying it's not warranted. But when we get down to the other than I'm a police officer, you're a police officer, what do you know about me, the person? So if you and I can't have a dialogue as police officers and get to know each other, how do you expect a community to understand how you feel and to dialogue with you openly? If you don't have that door open to where that person in the community, they don't need to know all your business, but they know something about you. I've worked calls where I've dealt with people and it's really, it helps, it's therapeutic to me because they'll be in a situation that I may have gone through in my personal life. And the big thing with cops, I keep my life personal. I don't discuss that with those people. Okay, and you're going to go in and tell them what they need to do to get their life together, but, let he who is without sin, But for me, sometimes I'll say, you know what, instead of me telling them what you need to do is you need to do this, you need to do that, I'll tell them, hey, you know what, I went through that before. It was X amount of years ago. This is what I did. This worked for me. To that person, they're not expecting it. They're going, wow, this guy has problems? Well, yeah, guess what? And I eat food and drink and do all that other human stuff. But now I've opened the door with them And they're thinking, he didn't have to tell me that, but he did. And I said, this is what I did. This worked for me. This didn't work. I tried this. I tried that. Now, you're not the cop anymore. You become an advisor, almost like a peer or a friend to that person. And they're more apt to take your advice. What does it stop? It stops a repeat call. How do you know that person's not going to go out and commit suicide? That's my way of kind of therapeutically blowing off a lot of things, but some officers don't have those avenues. You know, do you have a spiritual belief? You know, do you go to church? Do you just drink away your problems? You know, do you just go out there and party all the time? And I'm not going to put a grade on how anybody deals with it, but what type of mechanism is there? And then for cities, you know, when you got officers who are out there seeing all these things, especially in a high-stress climate like today, how much money are you spending on psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors? And then when you bring them, do you pick them? Or do you let the officers pick from a list? Because officers are very distrustful of when the administrations come in and they go, this is the department psychiatrist. And do they really? They don't know anything about that guy. They didn't vet him. The administration did, or the city did. How much of what I tell you is going to stay between me and you? Or am I going to hear it in roll call? Or am I going to hear it here if I get in trouble, make a mistake administratively? Is that going to come out later? You know, so it's a trust factor. So even before we leave the police department, we've got trust issues inside, not just where all police departments. They're there. So we can't go out to a community and say, trust us, when we've got trust issues even within our own departments. Officer to officer, officer to administration, administration to city government, and then all three of those entities back to the community, who ideally is paying us, ironically.